Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. And I will now call the November meeting of the Sustainable and Economic Vitality Committee to order. As this is the first meeting of the brand new committee, I'd like to welcome my brand new colleague and friend, Arlene Chin, Councilmember Arlene Chin. I'm really looking forward to working with you in the next 2 years. I know we're going to be covering some great topics, and I expect we're going to be doing some great things for Tempe. I know we are. As you might expect, our committee covers topics related to sustainability or sustainable initiatives and economic vitality of our great city. Note that no formal votes or decisions about city programs, policies, or budgets will happen here. Our role is simply to explore various topics with staff and stakeholders and community members, and to make recommendations to our council colleagues. We want this process to be transparent, inclusive, and easy for you to be part of whenever you choose to be. And you can share your thoughts with us by filling out a comment card about any item on the meeting agenda today, or by reaching out directly to us with any thoughts, questions, or ideas. The link to the comment cards can be found on our committee webpage at tempe.gov/SEV. And you'll find contact information for committee members and staff there for non-agendized items and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Adams. Oh, gotta have the microphone on. Thank you, Vice Mayor Adams. The next item on our agenda is item number 2, which is the review and approval of meeting minutes from the June meeting of what was previously named the Sustainable and Livable Communities Committee. And if there are no objections, I move that we approve the minutes from the June 29th, 2022 meeting as written.
I have no objections and second that motion. So June meetings, stand corrected. Minutes are unanimously approved. The next item on our agenda is item 3A, public comments. This committee welcomes public comment. According to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the committee may only discuss matters listed on the agenda. Matters brought up by the public under public comment that are not listed on the agenda cannot be discussed by the committee. A 3-minute limit per person will be in effect. Tanya, do you have any comment cards or requests to speak for this meeting?
Vice Mayor, we do have a public comment, and they are joining live.
Great.
Hi, my name is David Sokolowski. I live in Tempe. The City of Tempe has a performance measure 4.11 to achieve a 25% citywide tree coverage by 2040. It's important that we plant trees so they can sequester carbon over several decades to mitigate climate change and improve our air quality. We need trees to promote biodiversity and maintain a healthy ecosystem. We're not just planting trees for the sake of shading ourselves, but also to provide natural habitat for birds. Most artificial materials absorb a lot of heat, and that heat is released through the urban heat island effect. Trees naturally cool our environment through transpiration. They're able to absorb heat without releasing it. Sometimes artificial shade is appropriate, like at bus stops, but artificial shade will always be inferior to tree coverage. For example, trees can reduce noise pollution and can also improve our mental health. We all know that we're experiencing extreme drought, and rising temperatures will make it more difficult to establish trees in the future. Many of our trees will die from extreme heat, and our city could be left even more vulnerable to extreme heat in the future. That's why it's important that we plant trees before water becomes even more scarce. Established trees are more likely to survive heat waves, so it's important that we're planting trees now to prepare for the next heat wave and the heat wave after that. I would like to hear an update about performance measure 4.11 to achieve a 25% citywide tree coverage by 2040, and I hope this committee will include it as a future agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Really appreciate it. Do we have any members of the public wishing to come forward? Or any other comment cards? Seeing none? Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item 4A, current items and updates. And we'll begin with item 4A1, Sustainable and Livable Communities Workforce Readiness and Economic Vitality Work Plans Review. As a new committee with different areas of interest, we're required to formulate a working plan we'll be working on for the next year. We thought it would be a good start would be to review the old plans from the SLCC and the WREV committees to see if there's anything else we want to keep, delete, or add to. I believe that SEV, I'm getting a, I believe the SEV committees, staff, Nikki Amberg and Tonya Gray will be walking us through this one. And we have city staff representing the departments. We'll be working closely with these here as well. Is that correct?
Try it now.
So we're just starting the work plan review. We're looking at the previous priorities from the previous council committee. And I think Tanya and Nikki are going to walk us through this one.
That's my understanding.
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Chen, we kind of have both of the plans up because of the old sustainable and livable communities. You're still having the sustainable half of that. And from the old REV, you're going to be taking on some of the economic vitality stuff. So these are actually, what you're seeing on the screen is, these are the plans that had been adopted 2 years ago. And basically what you just want to, what we're going to be doing with staff here as well, is just kind of go through them and see if these are stuff that you still want to do, you know, what your priorities are. You may have 4 different priorities versus what is already on there. So you're basically just starting from scratch, but not really. So if you want to go through some of those, you know, we're here.
Great, thank you, Nikki. I think what we're trying to do is review, since there's been a bit of some nuanced changes to the council committees overall, and not just this one, but our colleagues, the ones that they are staffing. Some of these priorities and indicators, I think are important enough, and I think deserve to be addressed and to continue on as a priority, and we don't want to lose those. However, it may be housed more appropriately in one of the other committees at this point with the different changes. So I think with an eye to that, let's go through and look at a few of these and either, because this is a new structure for all of us, not just this committee, for the other committees, what we're trying to do is some of these we may table to refer to the city attorney's office as well as the appropriate staff to make sure we're following the appropriate process and procedure to move them to one of the other committees. So just so for clarification of action, right? All right, so should we go through and start with that one? Right, why don't you read that?
All right, A, priority, support implementation of existing climate action plan while identifying key elements of the 2021 climate action plan. And what we had under those were support and ensure investment in the climate actions planned, highlighted actions, co-create targeted actions with residents, neighborhoods, Tempe youth, businesses, nonprofits, and other key stakeholders. Number 3, evaluate current of Tempe actions while seeking additional opportunities for investing in sustainable operations.
That makes sense for this same committee. I think for it to remain, we may want to look to update that since we did support the implementation and the second version of the climate action plan, the adoption of that previous council did. So shall we keep moving on?
Yes, let's
to
keep
B?
moving on.
How about I'll read that one.
You do that one.
Is the priority was identify and prioritize potential green infrastructure investments across city operations. 1, explore innovative solutions for greening and improving of streets and streetscapes. 2, implement sustainable transit goals and identify best practice approaches to multimodal streets. 3, work to incorporate appropriate certifications and guidelines, including the International Green Construction Code, IGCC, and the Envision Rating System, and the SITES, SITES initiative. 4, identify additional areas for green investment and including water quality and taste, parks, urban forestry, and the county island infrastructure.
Excellent, thank you, Councilmember Chin. C, priority, and I believe this will be one that we will turn over to another committee, but just for the record, it says gather and evaluate community and stakeholder feedback, producing a report outlining what livable community means to Tempeans and set steps to achieve a more livable community. So I believe that one will be turned over.
So the first 2 are keep.
Yes.
A and B, and C is possibly move, question mark, following procedure. Okay,
Yes. And you want to do D?
sure. Identify the appropriate role and scope of animal welfare policies and programs in City of Tempe operations. 1, support the continued development, expansion, and assessment of the community cat management program. 2, identify targeted areas of animal welfare policy to explore for the benefit of all community members. 3, evaluate the management at a staff level of animal welfare issues within the City of Tempe. That one we need to review, and what we may do is invite staff here to present, because I think 3 is the key, one of the key questions there, and may help us determine where it should live, under which council committee it should live. I think, again, an important department within our area, but we should get some more data since this is a brand new area for the city.
Yes.
Thoughts? Am I getting nods from staff over there?
Vice Mayor Adams, Councilmember Chen, I think this would probably be more of in the livable community half of the old committee. I'm not sure how this would have anything to do with economic development or sustainability. So, I mean, if there is somebody that is an attorney or who is here has more knowledge about that, but my guess would be that it would be in the Livable Communities Committee.
So I'll put down move, question mark, pending official advice from staff and legal on how to follow that process.
That makes
Sound
sense.
good? Great.
Very good.
All right.
Okay. So now we're going to go to, thank you, Nikki and Tonya, for your help. Do you, anyone, Councilmember Chen, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I think digging into the first two items that will be kept, I think, and then when we get to the item on new items, I think we'll have a robust agenda of priorities and action items to move on. So I think we're headed in the right direction. And especially I see economic development staff here, right, as we dig into some of the items and topics. I think it will evolve into, the path will reveal itself.
I agree. We're going to have fun.
And just a note too, we have some staff from Sustainability and Resilience Office, as well as Transportation and Engineering on the phone. So if there is a question, we can certainly ask
Great.
those questions as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now move on to item 4A2, Sustainability and Economic Vitality Work Plan Discussion. Nikki and Tonya, I think this one is yours as well, correct?
Vice Mayor Adams, Councilmember Chen, I wasn't sure if you actually wanted to go through the old economic vitality part of the old REV work plan, which is, if you're looking at it, it's actually on the left. I'm no longer sharing my screen.
Oh,
There you go. It's on the left side of the,
got it. All right. So Nikki, you'd like for us to go through those in the same manner that we did the other list of agenda items and priorities?
yes. I think item B, the priority B, is probably the one that deals with the economic vitality of the old REV.
Yeah, because the first one looks like it's about education.
Yes.
It's career readiness and education.
So if maybe
Okay.
you want to read through B and go through the first five and then, see if any of those are things that you are interested in doing in the next 2 years for this committee.
Okay. Would you like me to do that? Do you want me to read?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So B, well, first of all, A was priority enhancing Tempe's pathways to become a cradle to career city. And those are mainly about education. So we will not be taking on those during this committee meeting or any committee meeting in the future because it's gone somewhere else. So B, though, priority focusing to achieve the city's economic development key strategies. 1, evaluate any additional necessary services or resources to support local businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 2, implement the development of unique design principles for Tempe Maker District and other innovation hubs. Number 3, identify challenges and opportunities that build upon the efforts to attract employers and businesses to Tempe. Number 4, increase continuous communication and collaboration with the Tempe Chamber of Commerce, Restaurant Association, Small Business Association, Downtown Tempe Authority, and other important community partners. And number 5, build upon Open Tempe Business Directory to showcase diversity amongst business owners in Tempe. And the 6th one is explore prevailing wage opportunities and strategies to improve economic conditions and higher pay for workers. And C, would you like to do C?
Well, let's, why don't we discuss B first?
Okay, all right.
Before
you
we
got it?
move on to C, because I have a question.
Okay.
Technically, I almost want to now strike one. Are we past that point? We can provide an updated one. All right, so we can now edit this list to remove that one, item 1. Okay. Great. I have a question for staff on item number 5. Can you expand on thank you, Maria. I see you making a move up here. On number 5, build upon Open Tempe Business Directory to showcase diversity amongst business owners in Tempe. Is the Open Tempe Business Directory, are we talking about a specific directory that exists or the creation of one?
There was one that was started during COVID and has since been discontinued. It was done on the private side. We did not handle it in-house.
Okay. So that may be, and this was a COVID-related item?
Yes, yes. That's probably the easiest way. Jill knows more.
Come on, Jill. Enlighten me.
It was created thanks to Councilmember Keating at the time to help with the COVID response to our small business community. It no longer exists, and if we were to go forward with such a directory, we would need to conduct an RFP process and hire a vendor to do so. And we did have a discussion and decided not to do that.
Great. So items 1 and 5 are moot at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we would agree with that.
Okay. Sound good, Vice Mayor?
Sounds
Adams?
great. Thank you
Great.
for the clarification.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right. I will read item C. Engaging in programs designed to support veterans. Very appropriate this week. 1, examine additional opportunities to advance veteran supportive services, including prioritizing the advancement of companies become veteran supportive businesses. 2, collaborate with regional partners to enhance the services provided by the city and ensure the city continues to be a veteran supportive employer. 3, work with the Arizona Coalition of Military Families to implement best practices. 4, participate with the Tempe Chamber of Commerce and Tempe Veterans Commission to encourage more active participation in veteran support efforts. And 5, explore additional opportunities to engage, recognize, and support the Tempe veteran community. So that one,
That will stay with workforce readiness.
with workforce readiness. Okay,
Yes.
so that will be moved to workforce readiness. Got it.
Thank you. All right. Last priority, fostering an environment for creative and quality special events. Number 1, collaborate with community stakeholders such as Tempe Tourism and Downtown Tempe Authority to attract quality special events and activation to areas of the city. Number 2, work with staff to cultivate downtown culture and spirit, create a series of destinations, and strengthen the relationship with residents, visitors, and businesses. Number 3, identify and develop new processes for the special event application process and examine the need for new technology to help manage the provision of special events. Number 4, generate community and stakeholders' awareness, understanding, and support for special events and their role in the social, economic, health, and environmental well-being of Tempe. I would like to add, well, that will be on the future. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. Staff, do you have any updates on any of these numbers for the environment, the quality environment? Any comments? Okay, I believe that would stay within our committee because it relates to economic development.
That's a great question, Vice Mayor Adams. Currently, the Workforce Readiness Committee does have, they will be submitting a draft of their work plan, which includes an update to the Downtown Tempe Authority application process for special events. Moving forward today, I don't know if we would keep that on ours or we would maybe focus the special events towards another realm of economic vitality. But currently that is staying with workforce readiness and livable communities.
Because our events bring in a lot of money, and that's why I'm
Yes.
thinking for economic development, vitality.
That's a great point. I don't know if anyone from economic development can address the special events piece of economic vitality. And maybe there's an aspect of it where we can both work on it.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Jill.
Thank you. I would just add that we work closely with the tourism office. They're part of our Team Tempe group that we meet with biweekly, and they are highly involved in economic development. So from that perspective, you know, we're pleased to keep this as part of this committee if you so wish. It's certainly at your discretion, but we work with them closely. We work with DTA closely. They're also part of that biweekly group that we coordinate efforts with.
I would like to keep this in our committee this section.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
If you were looking, excuse me, I would just add one more item. If you were looking to potentially add something to the plan as well, we're currently conducting a retail study with a private vendor called Locate AI for the downtown to do retail matching, to look at, data-based research to determine the best and highest possible uses in our downtown, to have the right mix of retail, restaurant, and experiential type users in our downtown. So that might be something to add to the plan, because that will move forward. We're about 4 months into that plan, and it's about a year-long contract, and so that's something very important to us as well.
Thank you.
I think that's a great idea. I think before we jump in and create language around what that strategy or priority would be, I think we'd love to hear about the results of that study to create something more strategic in language under this priority. So
Absolutely.
may I ask for updates on that as you get them? And if you're 4 months in, it's probably a year-long study, you said?
It is. So we're a few months out from something we'd want to share that's more fully ready to share with you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, and we're still looking at, so we've removed some outdated strategies within the priority. What I'm hearing also, sorry, we're learning and editing as we go. I think the retail study will be something we review, and it may be under the B priority, focusing to achieve the city's economic development key strategies. Okay.
I agree.
And then tell me procedurally in this case on committee procedure, if we wanted to add items under the priorities, do we do them at the new items for consideration, or do we do it in the editing of each of these priorities right now? Because of that.
I think we do it now. So this is the discussion on your new work plan. So I would add that to this part.
Okay, great. Well, then may I suggest, and help me flesh this out, and we have staff here who may be able to provide some background information. I know that we're undergoing a refresh, the Downtown Tempe Refresh Project. I know that's been under council direction, is moving forward. I would like to include that under this priority, if that's appropriate. I'm seeing some nods that it would be appropriate, because the Downtown Tempe, the Mill and Lake District is a key partnership for us, and it is an area of extreme economic development interest. And I'd like to add that under this priority so that we can get periodic updates on that. I'm seeing nodding that we can do that. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to also provide some additional information. The Workforce Readiness and Economic Vitality former plan, which is now Workforce Readiness and Livable Communities, they will be presenting their plan on work study on Thursday. They do have that refresh part in there. So I know there's maybe some overlap, and I don't know if anyone of our staff can maybe assist in.
Well, let me clarify. That one is for employers, right? What's the angle on that one? Because it seems like it's got two tracks on that. One is the economic development interest in that priority, and the other is as a employer. The committee structure, we've got bumps to work out. Be patient.
Marilyn, would you like to provide any update on that?
Vice Mayor Adams and Councilmember Chen, if you want to look up on the screen up there,
I can't
this
see
is
that.
actually the,
Can't see it.
I can make it bigger.
Yeah, we can't see that.
Here we go. Isn't that better? It's also in the packet that you have. But that is what the workforce readiness and economic,
Or it's in here.
this was the old one.
Hang on a second, Marilyn.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what they're doing.
Oh, I see, okay. Oh, okay, Marilyn, do you want to just give us a little update on the refresh, the downtown Tempe refresh?
Yeah, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Chin, thank you for,
Or Mike?
oh, is this mic on?
Yeah, I think that one's working.
Okay. Vice Mayor, Councilmember Chin, thank you for inviting me to speak. With respect to the downtown Tempe improvements, there is a dual track. It's ultimately meant to support economic development, right? So I think it's perfectly appropriate. There are other projects we're working on with economic development, and I think our partnership's getting much stronger. So that would be a good one it's a dual track. And then with respect to the other council committee, I haven't heard from them yet, but there's overlap, obviously, right, in the various committees. So we're prepared to provide updates to any committee and framing the updates within the context that that committee is interested in hearing. So is that okay as an answer?
Yes, yeah, it's okay. I just was wondering, what's our time frame then? What are we thinking as far as time frame, Marilyn, for the downtown refresh?
Our plan, Vice Mayor, is to provide, I think is a monthly updates with respect to the project, the infrastructure project. And then economic development, they have worked a plan for the downtown area, and I'm not sure what the time frame is, but we can coordinate with them to give updates that are appropriate. Sometimes there will probably be updates that are just infrastructure, sometimes just economic development, sometimes but we'll get together and ensure that we understand where the critical path items are and when they overlap.
Okay, that sounds good. And then you can just provide us with once a month updates in here in our meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Great. So we are reviewing and adding, we're just to remind everyone where we are. We're reviewing and adding the priorities and adding other strategies under each of the priorities. Another one, if we'll look at priority B, identify and prioritize potential green infrastructure investments across city operations. We've recently adopted the IGCC, the International Green Construction Code. If we can add that very specifically and how we can, the language we'll work on, but the essence is encourage and explore strategies to encourage adoption, because this is not mandatory. I'm looking at Braden, right? And so what we would love to do is encourage people to adopt some of the strategies in the IGCC, but let's add that under this priority, if that's okay.
I agree. And possibly looking at what we could do under that as far as incentivize.
Yeah, so to clarify, we haven't adopted the IGCC yet.
It's before council.
We have a draft, it'll be
Yep.
before council. We're hoping for the April timeframe. But just, there will be two things for you to move forward with. One is, in April, our hope is that you will see both the ability to adopt the code as a voluntary code and then a policy to build all buildings, city buildings, moving forward using the IGCC. And then I totally agree with you. Councilmember Chen, there's going to be a great opportunity to talk about further possible for incentives and ways to grow that program. Community development will be hiring a green building specialist. My hope is they'll be on board sometime this spring. And so I really do see that your guidance and leadership in helping grow that program as we get that person on board.
Great.
Another thing I just want to add while we're here is we are just starting the process of the Resilient Tempe Master Plan, which is the Green Stormwater, Urban Forestry, and Urban Greening Master Plan, 2-year project that we're doing in partnership with Engineering and Transportation, Community Development, municipal utilities, including both water and environmental services. So we don't have that. That was not conceived of when these were done. So when I look at B1 when I look at B1, I'd like to rewrite that so that it's in support of the Resilient Tempe Master Plan and the associated planning and code changes that we'll want you to consider as a part of that process. So
I think that's great. Thanks, Braden.
You're
Because
welcome.
as I read that one, B1, I thought about the design, how we're redesigning or the plan to design differently some of the streetscapes so we can capture the gray water to help nourish the plants in the right-of-way areas.
Exactly, and part of the master plan will be for Julian and his team to look at those engineering standards for all future city projects. And we'll be wanting to, have you all look at those before they go to the whole council and be part of that dialogue.
Great. I'm not going to make you stand up here, but this is for all of the staff that's in the room. I think what Braden just said something as an aside that helped to enlighten me. It sounds like, did staff write these to submit under the areas?
So when these were conceived originally, they were a collaboration between council staff and city staff as to the appropriate language. So I think you'll remember Councilmember Adams, they were sort of co-created. The council members gave sort of high-level desires as to what they wanted to see, and then we gave some of the direct language. And we're certainly, my staff is happy to be part of the editing process, as I'm sure the other city staff as well.
I think that informs how we're going to proceed with the rest of the meeting, because I think our discussion can be simply, what do we want to include? What do we want to look for? And then look to involve staff in creating these.
That makes a lot of
So
sense.
thank you
You're welcome.
for clarifying that for me. Some of us are new here, 3 out of the 4 of us up here. Great. So procedurally, Nikki and Tanya and staff, thank you for the guidance on this part. I think the next move is to adopt the current as edited and I'm going to frame this motion, and staff, I'm looking at you too to help me on the wording of this. I move that we adopt the edited Sustainability and Economic Vitality Committee work plan to refer to council as a whole at the December 8th, 2022 City Council work study session.
I have no objections and second the motion to adopt the work plan and refer it to council as a whole at the, I guess we have a holdup. Okay, no worries. Come on up, Marie.
Now, I was wondering if we should add anything else, so.
That's
Is
what
that
I'm
okay?
wondering.
Yeah, so the ones under economic development, we really didn't have a lot of input in, and if possible, we would like to add some new things. I think one of the things that we've been really focused on recently is redevelopment efforts. So I think we should add something in about redevelopment.
Stay right there. I'd like to rescind my motion to bring forward the committee work plan to the council of the whole on December 8th. So I agree. It just seemed clunky, and the procedures that we have aren't
Right.
are being fleshed out as we speak.
Right, and we weren't sure, that's why we all came, we weren't sure how much information you wanted now or how you wanted to do
No, I would
this.
love your input, wouldn't?
Absolutely. We would like,
Would you like it now, or would you like us to put something in writing? And
I
send
think
to you?
giving
both.
some time to think about it, to write, but anything that you're thinking of, let's have the discussion now, right? So under, do you have the item? The
That, through these
B,
here?
focusing to achieve the city's economic development key strategies, that's the one?
I think it's a new item, actually. Oh, yeah, under B, priority B, yes.
Okay. Right. So what are some of the essence of what you'd like to include in there?
I think we want to talk about exploring redevelopment opportunities throughout the city to bring in, to remove blight, to bring in more housing opportunities and revived commercial opportunities.
Great.
I mean, we're doing a lot around Apache right now. I don't know if we want to center it around Apache because there's also stuff in the downtown that's going on. So I would say just generally throughout the city,
Right.
redevelopment opportunities.
That sounds great. And number 2 includes the Maker District, and I think we can't forget that one.
Right, exactly. Now, that one is specific to the design principles. We wanted to extend what was completed in Smith Hub in the previous fiscal year. We kind of wanted to see if we could do the same in Smith, in the Maker District. But that's really more related to design principles. The redevelopment is really more looking at working with existing landowners. For example, using the upzoning resolution that was passed by council in January, and which we use on the Ramada Inn. And in fact, tonight we're having the neighborhood meeting for the upzoning of Apache Central, the Lemon Lot and the Dorsey Lot sites that are on Apache. So I think anything related to redevelopment of older properties for higher and better use, particularly in TOD areas, but also just to mitigate blight and create new opportunities for housing.
So essentially, what I'm hearing is taking the existing operating strategies that you are following and incorporating them under this item.
Yes, I think that would be.
Okay. And did I see Chad wanted to say something?
We both be up here?
Wait till you get to the microphone.
My other add to section B would be, we don't mention anything about jobs. So everything is focused on a specific district or to kind of enhance existing places through expansion or retention efforts. But then a lot of what economic development is in general is attracting high quality jobs. And so I'd want something added there.
Yeah, I think that's where the council committees and where there's some blurred lines, because as we talked about earlier, there's some dual priorities, right? Which one is purely, and nothing is purely economic development, which one is purely workforce development and the creation of new jobs. I think that's an interest of this committee as well as an interest of the workforce development, the other committee. So I think it may be important to have language on both and with the focus so that we know these are not exclusive. A lot of our goals will blend into other committees, which is fine, and we should talk about that. So that as a community, then we're, right, once you say it out loud, which is what this would be, then we know it's a priority for our community. So I think you bring up a good point, but it also brings up a natural, for lack of a really intelligent term, a little funkiness to how we phrase this and structure this. But I think it's worthwhile, and we can talk to council colleagues about making sure that it doesn't have to be exclusive to here or there, but somehow we make sure that they're connected and added as a priority.
I
Sound
think,
good?
yeah, no, that's good. I think Nikki has her hand up.
Yes, Vice Mayor Adams, Councilmember Chen, in the packet that you have that we gave you earlier that has actually all 3 of the work plans, the old SLC work plan, the old REV work plan, and then the new work plan of the workforce readiness in livable communities, and it's also, copies of all this is also in the back as well. You are going to be talking about this in the work study session on Thursday. And under B, number 1, I will tell you, it says oversee all items related to the Tempe Maker District. So I'm not sure, I mean, maybe that's a discussion you guys are going to have Thursday during the work study session in terms of how you're going to kind of split some of these issues up. And if you're going to share them, if one committee wants to do all of it, but that is going to have to be a discussion that you're going to have on Thursday.
That's a
with your
great
other
point,
members.
Nikki. Thank you. I think that's the meta communication about this is it shouldn't be an exclusive. It should be shared goals. These are our community goals, right? The angle and how we actually then look at the work we move forward and the discussion points that we move forward should be in alignment. So I think it's a good point, and that's a good reminder for us to bring that up in the discussion on Thursday. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
And if you like, Councilmember Chin and Vice Mayor Adams, we'd be happy to put together a memo of some of these ideas so that you can at least speak to both of them with a little bit more of how we talk.
right? No, I think that would be great. Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
So
My pleasure.
what I envision, and I say it out loud just so you all remember also, and not just me, that we could have a similar priority listed for two different committees, but different indicators, but they should be in alignment and not competing.
Correct.
Because it would drive staff crazy, I think, if we, right? You do a lot of blended work. So it's okay for us to discuss that and share the work together.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Will you be able to get that done for this Thursday?
Oh,
The memo?
absolutely. We'll get it to you for sure on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you so much. That's a great idea. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to item 4A3, fiscal year 22-23 council committee schedule. And I believe Nikki and Tanya have this one as well.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Adams and Councilmember Chin. I think we are looking to keep these as a static meeting, so every third Monday of the month. So if there should be discussion on what works for your schedules, but we would like to keep them on a very consistent for the public and as well as for our staff and ourselves. We can keep it to this first Monday, or there's more discussion needed.
I'm fine with this as long as it works out for Councilmember Chin.
I think Mondays work. Right. So whether it's the first or the third, I think look at calendars and I would we look to you to calendar accordingly. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll now move ahead to item 4B, new items for consideration. And today, I believe we have one new item. Actually, we have more than one. But presentation proposals for future council committee meetings. I have several potential presentations in mind. How about you, Councilmember Chin?
I always have a few.
Why don't you do yours first, as I called on you, and then I'll do mine.
Okay. Well, we talked about it, and I think I think I mentioned it already, but the IGCC down the road, how do we encourage the adoption of a voluntary code? How do we make that for for outside of the city. But with city, then how do we continue the conversation about internally adopting the IGCC in our buildings? Also, so we had to edit some of the indicators and under the priorities today because we have essentially moved beyond immediate COVID strategies. So now we're in sort of this post era and looking at strategies, perhaps federal grants and support or programs on how to, what are grants that are available overall to support sustainability projects or concepts. I think there have been and there are perhaps some more opportunities that we need to explore. Come on up, Braden.
Yeah, Councilmember Chin, it's an excellent point. So we are actually the last position out of last year's budget cycle that we're hiring is a policy and grants position. We hope that that person will be hired this winter. But developing that person's work plan and having a almost quarterly check-in as part of your meetings with that person. So we are working on federal grants, not only for the city ourselves, but also trying to bring in federal grants for the region. For instance, we were just in a workshop this past week meeting with 8 Arizona cities that are planning on going for a very large Department of Energy grant to actually help transform our building codes. So we have a nascent federal grant strategy, but we are going to be working very closely with Margzilla and her with this new person coming on board that will be working directly with her and our staff. So I love that as a regular, as one, making sure we work with you on our initial strategy, but also make sure that we have regular updates on our federal grants work. And we're very excited that that we now will have a staff person to run that work as well. So I think putting that on the agenda probably for like the February meeting, once that we should be very close to that person coming on board, would make a lot of sense.
Great,
And
thank
then,
you.
we can do Brianne can come to do an IGCC presentation in December or January.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I also would like to add some future agenda items. One is I want to add a cool seal to our future PQI projects in the CIP plan. So next time I'll want you to speak to that, staff, thank you. And then the county island, we've made great progress and we'll want to update at the next meeting. And the streetcar fares, if right now you're able to ride the streetcar for free. And I'm just, I think we should discuss plans beyond May of 2023 when it's not free anymore. And that was all I had, I think. Okay, yeah, I covered that. So, okay, you covered that. I believe that's all we have for proposed future projects. So
Great.
if we can talk to those at the next month, that would be great. Any questions about that, just so you guys understand? Okay, good. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Marilyn. Okay. I promise next time we'll be more organized. It's just we're trying to cover both the plans and get it all together, so I apologize for any confusion this may have. And
We're on to announcements.
on to announcements, yes. Do you have any announcements today?
I have no announcements today.
I have no announcements.
Great.
But we do have our next meeting. Are we going to do the first or third Monday? What works best? I just want to, if I could announce it today, so people know.
It's completely up to you.
Well-
You're pretty much open on every Monday.
Yes,
you
so
know,
it'd be up
it's
to,
up to the two of you.
okay. Councilmember Chin, do you have a preference?
The first Monday of December would be December 5th.
Great.
Okay, let's plan it for then. So December 5th, everyone, that will be presenting next time. And thanks for being here, everyone, and everyone that's out there. And we are now adjourned. Thank you.